You're watching Studio Ken. Make sure you don't miss any episode of Studio Ken by subscribing to the YouTube channel. To subscribe, search for Studio Ken on YouTube, click subscribe on the bottom right of your screen, and set a reminder. You can also watch Studio Ken on Diamond TV on Wednesday at 18:30 and on Saturday at 19 hours. Studio Ken, the home of Kennedy Gondwe, on YouTube.
A few weeks ago, we featured here on Studio Ken the remarkable story of a young boy with autism and how his family copes with his condition. In this edition, the spotlight is on cerebral palsy, the leading cause of childhood disabilities, but a condition most Zambians know precious little about. My guests are Mr. and Mrs. Harriot with their little daughter, Natalie.
Hi, this is James Chamanga. You're watching Studio Ken. Don't forget to subscribe.
So Caroline and Ken, good to host us.
Thank you.
Yeah. First things first, Caroline, what is cerebral palsy and how did you discover that your child had it?
Cerebral palsy, simply put, is a neurological disorder that causes miscommunication between the brain and the muscles of the body. This means that in an ideal situation, the brain's messages to the rest of the body are not delivered the way they ought to be delivered, and sometimes they're not delivered completely. We found out that Natalie had cerebral palsy when she was about 6 months old, and that's how our journey into cerebral palsy started.
How did you take it when you discovered?
I'd never heard about cerebral palsy before we were told that Natalie's condition was this. And it was it was devastating, because when we were told to say, this is what she has and what we should expect because of her condition, it was a very sad outlook, because they gave us the worst case scenario. Because they said things like, she may never walk, she may never talk, she may never smile, she may never laugh. You know? So it was miserable. It was a miserable time. And then as days went on and we read more about it, got to find out more about it, we got better. We got better with time.
Ken, what happened? How did it happen for you to know that your child had cerebral palsy?
Well, a few months after she was born, we noticed that certain things, the way she was behaving wasn't really like a normal child would normally behave, you know. Maybe you'd leave her in a certain position, come back much later, she's still in that same position, yet she's awake, you know. Even the way she used to cry was a bit different. The little gestures which you would expect a normal baby to do were not that normal, you know. So we started to suspect that, no, there's something wrong, but by then we didn't really know exactly what it was, you know. Then when we got to the hospital after her meningitis, then we were told, the bombshell was dropped to say this is what the problem is, you know. So first reaction is, no, we're in denial, you know. It can't happen to our child. It's probably just something else, you know. But then as the days, the weeks, the months went on, we realized, say, no, this is serious and it's here to stay. So it was an issue of now working together as a team and trying to build our confidence with each other and just trying to live with the condition.
How much of stigma did you have to encounter when the bombshell was dropped, as you put it?
Well, when it just happened, it was just within the family, you know. And I must say we got a lot of support from my sisters, my brothers, and my wife's side as well, her family as well, came to accept the situation. You know, the stigma really comes in, you know, like when you decide maybe to say, let's go for an outing, you know, and then you're sitting there, then people realize to say there's something, and then the staring, you know, you could really actually feel the stares that people are, you know, they're whispering and that kind of thing. So you can actually tell that, okay, they've noticed something, and, you know, probably some people don't feel comfortable. Other kids who maybe even not want to come near to her and that kind of thing, you know. So we just have to keep encouraging each other. Her siblings as well, you know, because they would come, you know, they'll be sad, no, people don't want to play with us because of Natalie, you know, but you just have to encourage them to say, no, they don't understand the situation. But So far, so good. We've gotten through it.
And what pressures did you go through, or are you still going through as a couple? Fine, you got the support from the two families. How about for the two of you?
Well, amongst us, the pressure is there, like in terms of looking after her. You know, every time, sometimes my wife would have a program, I would have a program, but then Natalie is always the intersection. Who's going to stay home? Who's going to look after her? If we have to go to this place, you know, we have to carry her aids, maybe carry the wheelchair, carry her special seat, carry her walker, you know. So you find that whenever we have a program, a family outing, meetings, whatever, we always have to consider Natalie, because one, she will not be able to get from point A to point B. She will not be able to go to the toilet. She will not be able to say when she wants to sleep or what she wants to eat or if she's thirsty, you know. So all those things have to come into play. So we have to try and look into that all the time.
Caroline, not two people that have the same condition can live through the same life. How worse is Natalie's condition?
It's quite bad because she's non-verbal. She doesn't talk. She doesn't move on her own. So everything, it's like having a baby all the time. Because she's 11 years old, but she has to be bathed, she has to be fed, she has to have a diaper change, all this kind of thing. We have to do everything for her basically. So it's, her case is bad. We have friends we've come to know people who've got children with cerebral palsy. Some are able to do a lot of things that you would not even tell that the child has cerebral palsy. It's just in maybe small things that they have struggles with for you to say, okay, they have this problem. But it's different variations depending on how bad the damage to the brain was during the time that the damage that happened.
Usually when a couple is having such problems, you tend to ask yourself a lot of questions. Others actually may feel or be tempted to think that they are cursed. How has it been with you?
I think for us, like Ken said, when we found out that she had cerebral palsy, we were lucky that the first thing that the pediatricians did was to cancel us as a couple. They sat us down and they told us to say, if you're going to blame each other, you're going to disadvantage the child. You're going to disadvantage the child. And if that happens, her chances of having a more stable life are reduced. We were told to say, as bad as it may look right now, there is not like an end to it not improving. There's so much possibilities. And we've seen the possibilities and we've seen that from the beginning up to now, there's been an improvement. Initially, we were told she may never sit. She's sitting now. She can sit on her own. We're told she may never walk. She's not walking with support. We're told she may never be able to recognize you as her parents, never be able to smile at you. But now she can smile at us. She lights up when she sees either of us or she sees one of her sisters coming. You can see from her expressions and gestures that she's recognizing who these people in her life are.
Other than the pressures of stigma, how people react to you, and you having to change her diapers, what other pressures have come with her condition?
The society that we live in is not really equipped to handle people with special needs, in the sense that all the costs that are involved in her care will fall on you as the parents. You have things like she may need a procedure done. It has to be out of pocket. She may need special equipment. It has to be out of pocket. When you try to approach insurance agencies or try to find out about medical aid, most do not cater to special needs. So it's really, it becomes a problem.
Ken, give me an idea of the financial pressure Natalie brings to you on a daily basis, especially that you've also got other kids.
Okay, for Natalie, because she has problems with chewing, so she needs a special diet. We can't give her foods which would normally give her other siblings. So when the shopping is done, we have to consider Natalie a certain special type of diet because she needs a special kind of roughage to help her go to the toilet. She needs, sometimes in the evening, you give her certain foods. Today she will eat it, tomorrow she may not eat it. So we need as much variety as possible so that if she fails to eat this or she refuses to eat this, we've got one or two other options. Then when it comes to things like her clothes, she's 11 years old, but her body is kind of small, you know. So we have to buy certain clothes, have to take them for adjusting to fit her right. Then we've got things like diapers. I think from the time she was born to date, I've been buying diapers for 11 years. Every month without fail, we have to buy diapers because she's not able to control her bowel system as at now. We're hoping that with the physio as it continues and the different, interventions which are coming along, we'll be able to have reached that milestone. But as for now, those are some of the pressures. We need to get her a wheelchair because when we like to go shopping or we like to go for an outing, sometimes we get tired of carrying her because she's getting heavy. So we need a wheelchair to put her in the wheelchair so that she can be able to move from point A to point B. She needs a special chair. And those things, with time, she outgrows them. We have to keep renewing them. Her feet, there's certain kind of prosthetics. Yeah, they are called Air4s, which need to be put in her shoes so that when she stands, she's as level as possible. Even though she outgrows them, with time, we have to keep changing. So those are some of the financial pressures which we have to go through.
Caroline, how big a problem is cerebral palsy in Zambia?
It's actually a very big problem. And the worst part is that there's not much awareness among the people in the communities. So you find situations of kids being hidden in their homes because the parents are ashamed to be known as having a child with a disability. And because a lot of our kids don't get early intervention that would ideally help them to improve at an earlier stage, a lot of them find they don't improve as they should. So we need more awareness on cerebral palsy. We recently came together with some parents. We created a WhatsApp group for support so that we can at least share our ideas and build each other up to know what our kids are progressing at. And we also have a Facebook page where we interact with different people from all over about cerebral palsy, new methods of treatment that are there. Because the truth is, cerebral palsy has got no cure. There is no cure. But what is there are methods of intervention that improve the condition, because with time, there is improvement. It's a matter of perseverance with the physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and all the other therapies that the doctors may recommend. So that's what it is.
So how's it like for you as a mother, every day waking up knowing that your child has got a condition that hasn't got a cure?
Initially, it still is painful. But with time, you get over the pain of it, in that you realize, I can't keep on holding on to this pain because your child needs you. Because you wake up in the morning, you ordinarily at this age, you wake up in the morning and you just say, oh, you bathed, you've had your breakfast, okay, today you do this and that. But with Natalie, it's like, okay, you wake up in the morning, you have to bath her, you change her, you feed her, you do her exercises, you look to her sisters, what do they also need to be done? So it's a full-on thing. You can't say, I'm going to just sit back today and just do nothing, just rest. It won't work, because she has to eat, who's going to feed her? That kind of thing. So you have to always think of, okay, I'm doing this, how does Natalie fit in? I want to go into town. How much time will I spend away? If I go at this time and I come back at this particular time, what will she have in between, Yeah.
And from an emotional perspective or point of view, how much of that affects you as a mother?
It does affect. I can't really say it's 90% or 75% because there are good days and there are bad days. In the initial stages, she used to cry a lot. She would cry there's one time she cried from 9 o'clock up to about 17. She's just crying the whole day, on. And then it's only afterwards, when we kept on saying, we would keep on going to the hospital, she's not stopping to cry. They're like, no, maybe she's dehydrated. Put her on a drip for water. She'll maybe fall asleep because she's tired. We come back home and she starts again. And then it's only later that, actually, she's got some discomfort with her stomach because of not being able to do this and that. There's this problem there. Sort out that problem, then now start to scale down. Then, okay, she's now crying because she's got this condition, because she can't talk. So you have to keep on guessing, is it this, is it this? So it can be a roller coaster. It's a really heavy roller coaster to move on.
And what is a good day like for you?
A good day is you wake up in the morning and she's laughing. Then you know, yeah, this one's going to be a good day. You wake up in the morning and she's crying, you know it's going to be a bad one. Because that will show that for her to get over whatever it is, it will take a while. Because you have to now say, okay, what's making her cry? Like he mentioned, because of her not being able to move on her own, she's got chronic constipation. Now you know how it is and not comfortable. When you're feeling bloated and all, it's uncomfortable. So you have to figure out, okay, where the suppositories, you have to use them to help her get relief and things like that. So you always have to have certain things in the house to help her. And then you have to realize also that you can't use certain medications indefinitely because they have side effects. So you have to also say, okay, today she has to have this to help her feel better like this. So you have to, we have a routine of this, so that this doesn't happen. You have to have B so that C and D don't happen. That kind of thing. So it's like that.
Ken, in the Zambian context, what are some of the major challenges that kids with such a condition face? Also, their parents.
Okay. If I may touch a bit on the rural setup, I would say most of them, the biggest challenge I think is the stigma. One, it's like some people believe that if you have a child who's got cerebral palsy, then it means that the child is probably bewitched or the family was bewitched, you know, and things like that. So they, like Carol said, they tend to hide the children because of fear of being stigmatized and laughed at, and you know, you're not a man, you're not a woman, how can you give birth to such a child, you know? And then support. We would really wish if there could be more support for children with such a condition, because a lot of parents, even in the urban setup, don't really understand this condition. So what more our fellow Zambians who are living in the rural area, some of them are uneducated, they don't know what is happening to the child, they don't know what to do, how to better take care of their children, you know. So these challenges are on a national scale. The entire country, I think there's a lot that still needs to be done. We really hope that with this kind of awareness, government, NGOs, private entities will come in and really help pump in money, open up institutions where people can be taught what the condition is about, get skilled labor, more people to come in to help with all kinds of physiotherapies involved, so that these kids can be, their condition can improve.
With the kind of picture that you paint to me, so how can people that have such a condition make make use of their condition as well as their social life?
Well, as they grow up, I think if they're getting to understand the environment which they live in, they understand to say they're different from the other kids. You know, I think the best is to first of all accept that condition in which they're in, and they themselves also can be champions in pioneering their situation, to try and disseminate as much information out there to their fellow children, their fellow kids, their fellow students, adults, and everybody, so that everyone gets to understand what is involved with this kind of condition, living with this kind of condition, and what needs to be done.
Caroline, what's the hardest part of raising a daughter like Natalie? And how do you adapt to her different needs at any particular moment?
When you have a daughter who has special needs, it's painful, because you know that if anything happens to you, there may not be anyone to take care of your child. As much as you have society, we have families, and we have people in society who are caring, as a parent, you always worry about not being there for your child, because you know that this child is dependent. You know, when a child reaches a particular age, she reaches puberty and all, the body goes through changes, and you're wondering, what happens to my child at this stage? Now, in our situation, you have a child who's in diapers, and then you're thinking, this is going to happen to my child. How do we handle it? And then when you go to the hospitals and you tell them, there's this situation coming up, what do we do? And you're told things like, no, you just have to let it go like that. It has to happen. That's how it is. It's very disappointing and hurtful, because you're thinking, you're going to a medical professional to get some answers, but then you're coming back with more questions. So we find ourselves in a situation where our medical fraternity is not really as supportive, because when you look at our online support groups for cerebral palsy and you read about how others are being helped with these particular situations and all, there's so many solutions that they have that we are not allowed to consider here because of various reasons and all that kind of thing. So it can be disheartening.
Ken, lastly, what is your appeal to society in terms of accepting people like you, people like Natalie, who've got special needs?
Well, I think what I would hope to see is that they are children and they are people just like any other. They just have this condition and they didn't choose to have this condition, you know. So I would like to hope that in future people can learn to understand the disability that these people have to go through and just try to accept that they are different, but they are ordinary people just like everyone else, and they just want to be loved and cared for and given the attention that they need. Yeah.
Caroline, you spoke about plans to form an association, or so far you're existing on Facebook and WhatsApp. Tell me more about that association.
What it is that a group of, like I said, it was just a group of parents with similar needs who've come together to say, how can we support each other? How can we change the narrative about our children? And so we decided, initially it was just for us to build one another up, share ideas. But with time we realized we're not the only ones. It's not only us here, because the group is about 70 parents so far, 70 plus parents, and they're in different parts of Zambia. And we realized we can't just keep what we know to ourselves, and we can't just say we're going to help ourselves only when we have a situation. So we said, let's try and formalize things and see how we can help other people in a similar boat to find some kind of normalcy in their lives with their children as well. So that's how the association is being born now.
And what do you hope to achieve with the association?
We hope to help our members to find a niche for themselves in society that's acceptable to them and society. Because we have some children who are older than 20 but are not able to find employment because they haven't had the right skills training. So we've now found another association, a foundation, that helps people with disabilities, both physical and intellectual, to gain skills and to learn life coping measures so that they can be able to take care of themselves in a case whereby the people, the primary caregivers are not there anymore, they can support themselves. And then we've also come across some other groups and associations, individuals who are able to at least help us to say, okay, in this particular situation that your children are in, the equipment that they need can be found easily and readily available at this place and that place. Yeah.
How easy has it been to convince fellow parents who've got kids like Natalie to come out? Because a lot of them, I would assume, don't want to confront the situation publicly, as it were. For us, we've actually found a lot of the people that we know have been quite open about their children's condition. And it's not, I think it's not about them not wanting to bring out the situation that they're in. It's about how they feel they'll be received by the people around them. If you're talking about, like, we always talk about, oh, our daughter Natalie has CP and things like that. And if somebody hears about you talking about your child in a positive way, they feel inclined to also share. So that helps. So the more that we share about our situations, the more that others out there are also going to feel inclined to share about their situations. And Ken, how helpful is it for you as a father to Natalie to talk about the condition that Natalie has openly?
Well, it gives some form of relief, you know, knowing that people out there get to know about this condition. My friends get to know about it. My workmates know about it, you know. So it's something that it helps, because there are certain people who actually didn't know at work who actually have children with the same condition, you know. And it's only after we appeared in this group which we formed on WhatsApp and Facebook, I actually got to find out that, oh, this and this person at work actually have a child who has got the same condition, you know. So we get to relate on that level now, and it's easier for them also to talk about it. And they get to ask questions, you know, like if you've got a friend or a workmate who's got a child who's in that condition and maybe they were older, and you are coming behind or you're already in front, and then they have a certain milestone which they're hoping to reach, they get to ask you to say, how did you manage this? Or my child is doing this, how do you manage this? So it's actually a way of helping each other, and that way you kind of ease, you know, it makes it easier in life to handle them. Yeah.
Caroline and Ken, thank you very much for sharing this story, and I wish you the best of luck with Natalie.
Thank you.
Hi, this is James Chamanga. You're watching Studio Kane. Don't forget to subscribe.